Hello and welcome. This is Diplomatic Ties on the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. In this edition, our focus will be on generational equity with premium on Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study Program. Youth Exchange and Study Program, also known as the KLES, provides the opportunity for the beneficiaries who are students to serve as youth ambassadors of their home country. KLES promotes mutual understanding by forming lasting relationships with their host families and communities. By design, participants who are students live with our host family, attend an American high school, acquire leadership skills, and engage in activities to learn about the U.S. society and values. The KLES program has been on in the last 2 decades, and to shed more light on this transcontinental voyage on generational equity is the Counselor for Public Affairs, U.S. Embassy, Adnan Siddiqi. Adnan Siddiqi, you're welcome to Diplomatic Ties.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And I'm Nancy Godi Angonihu. Once more, you're welcome to Diplomatic Ties. Adnan Siddiqi.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let me begin by just telling you and your audience a little bit about me. I'm a career diplomat with the U.S. State Department, and I have served many years overseas at different U.S. embassies around the world. I've been in 11 countries, and very happy to be in Nigeria. It's my 2nd year now in Nigeria, based in Abuja. And I cover the public affairs section of the U.S. Embassy, which includes culture and education and media relations.
All right.
So this is the perfect kind of topic for me to share my views with you and your audience about. You mentioned...
You have a vast experience, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And so you fit in so well.
Well, you know, it was a passion of mine to be in diplomacy. I was myself from an immigrant family that came to the U.S. when I was very young.
You look Indian. Are you Indian?
From South Asia.
Right.
So I have roots in both India and Pakistan. Okay. And of course, from an Islamic background. So I had my own different challenges growing up in the U.S. And adapting to a different culture. And so I hope to share my experience with your audience as a kind of an example of how the United States welcomes other countries and other nations to its borders. And hopefully, you know, this kind of exchange leads to more mutual understanding, more cooperation, more peace around the world.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on Diplomatic Ties.
Yes.
We will start with asking you about Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study, KLES program commenced 20 years ago, as I just read out. What is the philosophy behind the establishment of this program?
Okay. Well, I already said that the U.S. philosophy is to welcome people from other countries to its borders, and I'm a living example of that myself. The U.S. was founded on the principles of freedom, democracy, economic opportunity, education, diversity, and all these different principles, I think, are the foundation also of the KLES, High School Student Exchange Program. Now, when we say KLES, K stands for Kennedy, and probably your audience will think, Kennedy, oh, John F. Kennedy. No, this Kennedy is John F. Kennedy's brother, Ted Kennedy, who was a senator from Massachusetts. He was in Congress. L is for Lugar. Lugar was another senator from Congress in 2003. Kennedy was a Democrat. Lugar was a Republican. And they decided to work together to form this program and to fund it as a high school student exchange.
Wow.
And this was not a new concept. Of course, you know, the United States has done high school student exchanges for many, many decades. But this was the first time that the U.S. government also supported and financed this program.
A program like that.
So we're in our 20th year worldwide, and just yesterday we had our pre-departure orientation program for the latest batch of Nigerian students who are going to the U.S.
When are they commencing studies?
Well, some of them have already reached the U.S., some of them are on their way, and they'll commence this fall semester at an American high school. And we have 16 scholars from Nigeria who are going this year, and they'll be spread out throughout the different states of the United States and staying with a host family, as you mentioned in your introduction.
So they won't be staying together?
They will not be staying together, no. They will see each other, of course, you know, probably at the airport, but they will also meet for 3 days in Washington, D.C. They will meet with State Department officials. They will meet each other because this program is international. So they'll see many students from other countries who are coming this year on this program.
Okay, the KLES program is meant to transform lives and shape perspectives and nurture cross-cultural understanding 20 years down the line. Has the program been able to achieve these objectives for which it's set up?
Well, we like to think so. We like to think that the program has made a meaningful impact, a profound impact, not only on the kids who have gone to the U.S., but also on the host families that in America that benefited from the students being there, and that the schools, that the American schools that they attended also benefited. Of course, we like to stay in touch with the students when they come back to Nigeria.
Really?
Because we want to make sure that, first of all, that they had a good experience in the U.S. No, and that we don't lose them. We want to keep them as our friends and our partners. And our expectation is that they will go back into their communities, in their cities, and do a lot of community service. We feel that one of the major objectives of this KLES program is to kind of encourage community service, giving back to one's neighborhood, to one's family, to one's country, to one's state, so that other people benefit from the program. It's not just an individual that benefits.
And if you look at share what they have learned.
So when I went to the orientation yesterday, I met some alumni, what we call alumni, people who have gone on this program and come back. And they told me their stories about, you know, the wonderful things they've been doing since they came back to Nigeria. And, you know, some of them have gone into public health. Some of them have gone into, you know, protecting the environment. Some of them are into conflict resolution. You know, all these things are part of civil society. We want to expand, grow, empower a civil society.
Ensure a peaceful society.
Ensure peaceful coexistence, self-reliance. We want to give these kids confidence that even though they're from backgrounds that are, you know, middle class, that are what we might call just average, you know, that they are getting the opportunity to travel, you know, internationally, being exposed to the United States, being exposed to other countries, and then, you know, taking back that knowledge back to Nigeria so that Nigeria can benefit.
Could you tell us the criteria for the emergence of the beneficiaries of this program? The criteria, how do you choose them?
Right. So our program, even though it's sponsored by the U.S. government, the actual work is done by our NGO partners in the U.S. So there is a partner called IRIS that works in Nigeria, and they have their own staff here. They, in turn, collaborate with the state ministries of education of different states around Nigeria. And so those state ministries then help us recruit the students who can go into this program. So we don't directly select the students, but we make sure that all the students are based on merit, that they have good grades, that they score well on tests, that they present themselves well in interviews, that they have some leadership qualities. Because we need to have outgoing, strong students if we want to have community service at the end.
Yeah.
We want them to be active. So it's a very competitive process.
Have you told us the many countries, the number of countries that you have involved in this, that you have benefited from this program?
Sure.
Not just Nigeria.
Yeah, well, it started off as about 40 different countries around the world in 2003. That list has expanded to 60 countries now, 20 years later. And I had the privilege of actually launching the program in India when I was the Cultural Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in India. And it was very exciting because I actually had to go and talk to the parents and try to persuade the parents that it's a good idea, because it's a little bit hard for families and parents to give up their kids for a whole 9 months in an academic year in another country. It's a big responsibility. And so we felt at the embassy that we need to talk, frankly, with the parents and persuade them that this is a good idea.
Obviously, beneficiaries of this program are mostly junior secondary school leavers between the ages of 15 and 18.
Yes.
How do they cope in the U.S.? What's their welfare like, possibly without their parents? You just mentioned, getting the parents to let them go.
Yes.
So.
Well, there are built-in safety nets in this whole structure. There are guidance counselors at the school. There are community advisors that they can rely on. The host families who are participating in this program, these host families are doing this totally volunteer. They're not getting any money for this, but they do it because they believe in an international exchange. They believe in exchanging ideas and culture. And so those parents are also trained to deal with difficult situations where the kids are not adjusting, quickly. We believe that this is a kind of program that can only succeed if everybody is working toward the same goal.
Yeah, that brings me to asking you, what are the costs covered by the scholarship and the ones that are to be borne by the beneficiaries, maybe their parents?
I don't know of any cost that goes to the kids or their families. I think this is a full scholarship. And the costs in the U.S. are also provided by the NGO and the U.S. government. So it's a real investment.
We are discussing generational equity with Premium on Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and YES program of the U.S. Department of State, and the Counselor for Public Affairs, U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, Adnan Siddiqi, is our guest. The program continues shortly. Continue with the program. Okay, now available records have shown that both Nigeria and the United States are woven with threads of, distinct cultures and beliefs, each person a unique expression of humanity. How has the program been able to assist beneficiaries to overcome cultural barriers?
Well, the beauty and the challenge of any kind of international travel or international education is that there are going to be benefits and there are going to be challenges.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And I myself, grew up in New York City, which is a melting pot of, hundreds of different nationalities and languages. And I could tell you, I went to a public school as well, just like these Nigerian kids are going to a public school, that you really need support from the teachers, from the community, from the school administration, and from the other students to make this experiment work. So one person cannot handle all the challenges by themselves. But you mentioned the cultural thread.
Yes.
All Americans go through this kind of experience in one way or another. We are all, in a way, a minority, in some sense or other. Yeah. And we have to learn how to deal with the mainstream or the majority to find a way to keep our own identity, but also borrow and maybe learn from others. And so one of the reasons American schools are so anxious and excited about having students from Nigeria is that these students are going to add to the quilt, what we call the mosaic of culture on the school campus. So that's what we look forward to.
Yeah, I remember now, equally of note is the fact that the KLES program accommodates students with disabilities. Can you tell us more about this?
Well, all schools in the U.S. now are equipped with ramps and other facilities to help kids with special education needs or kids with disabilities. And in fact, one of the priorities of the Biden administration and the State Department is to focus more on the rights of the disabled and to focus on what can society do to help their situation, to empower them, to give them all the opportunities that those who don't have disabilities.
Take care of them,
and take
those
care
with
of them.
disabilities.
Exactly.
Wow. Participants engage in community service and civic education activities from the alumni. What have been the import of these to them?
Well, as I mentioned earlier to you, alumni are free to choose what direction they want to take once they come back from Nigeria. There's no obligation for them to do community service. If they want to spend all their time, educating themselves, that's fine too. But our expectation and hope is that the majority of these guest scholars will do community service. When they're in the U.S. during this program, they actually are asked to do community service in their neighborhood. So they will have the experience.
And wherever they go,
they can't run away from that.
They've imbibed the culture. Wherever they go, they take it along with them. They don't drop the culture that they'd learned.
Exactly. Well, we feel like volunteerism is a part of American culture. It's a part of the American experience, is that you can't rely on the government or the employer to provide all the needs of society. That the community also has to do something. Individuals also have to do something. So a lot of these kids do come back, and like I said, they're in the areas of public health, in the environment, in conflict resolution, in infrastructure. They are all, pitching, lending a helping hand to the community. And we're very proud of them for that.
In other words, empowering them to assist society.
Yes.
Now, since the inception of the Kennedy Lugar YES program, 386 Nigerian students have graduated.
Yes.
And I want to ask, what are the challenges? You mentioned somehow, but then I want you to explain the challenges and how you've been able to overcome the challenges.
When they come back, you mean?
No, challenges of getting students, graduate on this program.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, one challenge we don't have is finding good students.
Okay.
We have hundreds of good applicants from Nigeria, and it's very hard to kind of whittle that down, that number to a small size, 16 or 20. So it's very competitive. But one of the challenges, of course, that Nigerian students face when they get there is, depending on which state they go to, they'll hear an American accent, an English accent that they're not used to.
And the weather condition sometimes.
So the weather, it may be very, very cold, like if they go to Wisconsin, or if they go to Iowa, Minnesota, they'll be faced with, snow. They'll be faced with cold. But who knows, they may grow to like it. That's part of the fun of travel.
Exactly,
is
coming from a hot
you don't
zone.
you don't know what you're missing, right? So might as well try. So climate, of course, is one. Language, accents, that's something you have to learn.
Exactly.
Of course, just dealing with Americans.
Cuisine, food, the kind of food they're going to eat there.
Yeah.
Different, quite different
That's
from
right.
the ones they're used to.
That's right. So, as a diplomat myself, I It takes me a few weeks whenever I go to a different country to adjust to the cuisine. But I found that if you apply yourself and you take risks.
You close your eyes, you take risks.
Yeah, sometimes you have to close your eyes.
And find out that you've not died and you can continue eating.
Yeah. But American food is kind of international now, at least the fast food aspect of American food. So I don't think Nigerians will have too much trouble in recognizing some of the foods that they will encounter.
Now, how far has the U.S. Department of State collaborated or partnered other organizations in executing the KLES program?
Well, that's really critical to the program, is these partnerships.
It's important.
Without these NGO partnerships, like I mentioned IRIS for Nigeria, there's the AFS, you may have heard of, American Councils, Amid East. There are a dozen or more NGO partners that we rely on worldwide to get this program going. And then we rely on the host families, right? And there are 1,500 host families in the United States. 1,500. Yes. So it's really a network. And of course, then you have...
Are you ready to accept more volunteers, more organizations to help?
Yes, we welcome that. Yeah, but they have to have a track record of this kind of work. We don't want to,
They have to be credible.
Yeah, because really credibility is everything.
Very important.
If the parents and the schools in Nigeria have some doubt about the professionalism of the program, then we have a problem. So we do our very best to make sure that we address all the issues and make this experience the most interesting and the most valuable to the students.
Okay, when is the 2023-2024 examination going to take place? Has it been taken place? Has it taken place already?
Well, there's no one examination. You're talking about recruiting for the next class?
Yeah, for the next one, yeah.
I would say that kids who are interested in this program should go on our American Embassy website or go on the IRIS website, and they'll find the information. Just look at KLES, and you'll find the information on how to compete. But like I said, there are going to be lots of applicants, and all the applications go through the state ministries of education.
So there are a series of examinations to be taken.
They're not that systematic.
Okay.
I think every state has a different kind of procedure, but exams are just one small part of the process. They look at the individual.
All right.
And the interview stage is perhaps the most important.
They are English speaking proficiency?
Yes, English. There's an English test as well.
All right.
There's an English test as well.
Okay.
But like I said, we're looking for emerging leaders.
Yeah.
We're looking for people who will have the capacity to give back to others when they come to Nigeria. So the interview process is probably the most important part.
Okay. Yeah. Now, do you intend to expand the scope of the program in Nigeria by accommodating more beneficiaries from other states, not just the northern states of the country? We
would like to. We're open to that. We find, though, that sending 16 kids from the north is just a small portion of the challenge of meeting even the needs of the north in terms of exposure to other cultures and other countries. So in an ideal world, we will, of course, work with our Congress and our other agencies in the U.S. to try to expand the program.
This is a wonderful program that will bring enlightenment and empowerment to the youth of every country that U.S. has chosen.
We're very happy with it. We have a whole range of exchange programs for youth, not just the KLES, but we have a program for young women entrepreneurs, for example, called the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs. That covers the whole country, north and south, east and west. We have the Fulbright program. Maybe you've heard about this. It's a scholarship program. We've had what we call the Mandela Washington Fellows program, which is for young professionals. We have about 25 different exchange programs with the U.S. This is just one, but
we would like to thank the
yeah.
U.S. for coming up with these programs, human, touching programs.
We believe that's the essence of bilateral relations, is the people-to-people ties.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Siddiqui, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for watching this edition of Diplomatic Ties, which discussed generational equity with premium on Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study Scholarship Program of the United States Department of State, meant to create youth ambassadors who learn about U.S. society as they educate Americans about their home country while acquiring leadership skills. Nigeria is a beneficiary, and the Counselor for Public Affairs, U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, Adnan Siddiqi, has been educating us on this. Wait for another episode, same time next week. I'm Nancy Godiangunihu, thanking you for watching.